Hello. Today I'm going to talk you through another rotational exercise. It's an exercise called Criss Cross, which is an evolved or a pre-Pilates exercise, but it's quite a difficult one. So it's not a simple exercise. It does work your abdominal muscles quite hard, and in particular your obliques, which run basically from the rib cage on one side across the whole abdomen to the hip on the other side, and your obliques are responsible for twisting movements, whether that's running, throwing something, hitting a ball, whatever it is that twists the torso. So we're going to lie ourselves down onto our backs, and we'll start simple and we'll add on slightly more difficult variations as we go. So you've got your hands fully interlaced behind the head. Important to get that interlace so that you can actually relax the head and neck and feel the weight of the head sinking into the cradle that you've made with your hands. Then the elbows are going to come forward so that they're in your peripheral vision all the while. And as you curl into a little sit-up, you want to feel that your gaze is down, so your neck is nice and relaxed. You're looking down towards your belly or your thighs. You want to feel the elbows are still forwards so that you can widen the shoulder blades apart underneath you. Relax that neck, keep the head nice and heavy, and feel that with each out breath you want to flatten the belly towards the floor. The reason you're doing that is so that you can activate your deep abdominal muscles. And although we are going to be rotating and working the more superficial abdominal muscles, the muscles on the outside of the body that twist us, we also want to underpin that with this lovely work through our deep abdominal layer, our transversus abdominis. And that's important to protect the spine and stabilize it with this exercise. So as I exhale, I think into my belly first, I flatten the belly first, and then I take a rotation of my ribs to one side. And as I breathe in, I come back into the center. Breathing out, I rotate the ribs round to the other side, and breathing in, I come back through to the center. So I can keep that nice and slow to start with, perhaps doing about 4 or 5 to each side. Every out breath, I want the belly to flatten, and I want my lower back to feel quite flat against the floor. However, I'm not doing that by tucking the tail under. I want to leave my pelvis in a nice relaxed neutral position, and I want to feel that I'm curling higher and higher to allow that low back to nestle into the floor, exhaling to twist and inhaling to come back into the center. Now we want to keep not only the stability through the lower back, through the spine and the pelvis by sucking gently in through those deep abdominals, flattening the belly, but we also want to keep the shoulder girdle stable. So you see that as I'm twisting from side to side, I'm not lifting one elbow and changing the relationship between my head, neck, arms and shoulders. I want to keep the relationship the same as it was here. So as I exhale, all that's really changing is the spine, this rotational movement from the waist that draws me around to one side. That's all that's changing. You can stop and rest at any point, obviously, if you need to. We can make that a little bit more difficult by drawing the legs up into a tabletop position. So gluing the knees together, creating a little bit of work through the inner thighs. And you can allow your feet to be just slightly higher than the knees. That helps you to get that lower back imprinting into the floor. Again, the neck is relaxed, shoulder blades are wide, and they're settled in the back. It's like they've sort of dropped down towards the waist, and they want to stay there. As I exhale, again, I'm flattening the belly first before I rotate. So I think into the abdomen before I allow that rotational movement from the ribs. As before, I'm not lifting the elbow. I'm not trying to move from the elbow. I want to keep my elbows exactly where they are, and I'm just rotating from the waist, from the ribs. So breathing out for that slow twist, breathing into the middle. Breathing out for that lovely slow twist, breathing into the middle. Again, you can stop and have a rest when you like. So that's your basic oblique twist. That's your rotational movement to get those obliques going. If we take it into the full Criss Cross, as it's known, you're setting up in exactly the same way, neck relaxed, shoulder blades wide and heavy, abdomen flat, lower back nestling into the floor. And then as I rotate to my left, I'm going to lengthen out through the right leg. breathing in to come back to the center. As I rotate to my right, I lengthen out through the left leg. So opposite leg. So I can keep that slow. What's important here is, again, this stability through the lower back, keeping both sides of my lower back glued to the floor. And then the idea is that we take that movement quite quickly. So the in-breath is just a very split-second moment where your focus really is on the next exhalation. In-breath happens very quickly, and then you're exhaling to change sides. And so on. So you can take the leg a little lower, provided your lumbar spine is still flat to the floor, or you can take it a little higher for slightly less load. You can pick up that pace so that it becomes a much quicker movement, or you can keep it much slower and more controlled if you prefer. So the important things to remember is this flattening of the deep abdominals to stabilize the spine, the feeling of the lower back staying really heavy and grounded against the floor. So however fast you want to go through your upper body, nothing changes through the lower back. That whole section is glued down. And then remembering that you're not trying to reach elbow to knee, but actually that diagonal line comes from the shoulder blade on one side, across the center of the body to the hip on the other side. It's like you've got a little piece of string there that's being shortened. So actually the elbows stay equidistant from your nose all the while, and you're thinking from shoulder blade to opposite hip. And that's your crisscross. Enjoy.